Elliott, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Yeah, man. All right, Elliott, we just connect for the first time, maybe in a coffee shop or a bar, depending on what time of day it is. And I go, "Hey, man, who are you? What do you do?" That's how we typically, introduce ourselves, right? So
Sure.
dive on in.
I'm a reformed engineer, Harvard MBA that helps first-time buyers execute sort of transactions of business acquisitions of $5 million or less by leveraging sort of financial due diligence, which is typically quality of earnings, but helping with the deal coaching that is required for first-time buyers to get over the hump.
Got it. Get over the hump of the first business acquisition they may ever do. Now, as you're going through this, why did you choose this as a profession, as a way to go? Like, why first time home, well, not home buyers, first time business buyers? Why?
A lot of reasons. They have the biggest need in the market and they're growing the fastest. So with books like Buy Them Build by Walker Dybel and the different entrepreneurship through acquisition classes at all different kind of schools, the growth is amazing. I worked in private equity and was an independent business buyer for 10 years. And I know my favorite business buyers have been doing this for 30 years. So when I think about someone who's going to be doing it for 3 to 18 months and still need to not only find a deal, diligence it, consummate it, but typically take a personal guarantee, they're in a sea full of sharks in a way they may not understand. And so Guardian is purposeful because it's sort of helping people and guarding them against getting had. We stop people from buying bad businesses. And I chose the first time buyers because once you do five or six, there's other solutions that may be a bit lighter that you can sort of manage because you know more about the process. When it's your first time, you need extra help, and sort of having a deal person to manage the team of CPAs is a way more comfortable place for most business buyers than listening to discussions of EBITDA adjustments and working capital and accrual to cash accounting. I make sure it's always about the deal.
Yeah, got it. How'd you get into this business? Like you said, you did some private equity stuff in the back. Give us a background, give us an idea of how you got to where you are.
I think like most entrepreneurs, I kind of meandered, tried stuff until the skills that I had in the market kind of fit together. Um, I came out of business school with all the folks that came out of Lehman Brothers and Bear Stearns after 2007, 2008. So it was a pretty tough market to get into private equity. I found a spot at a firm that was really a family office that was buying companies, but they were able to present as a private equity firm because they had done almost $5 billion in transactions. And I realized sort of the whole name of the game in private equity is owning equity. So I quickly transitioned into an independent business buyer, self-funded searcher, independent sponsor. It's really hard to figure out where the lines are there. I sort of was checking out diligence providers for a while and just saw that the ones that I experienced weren't all that great. And when I saw more people coming into the market, I thought the solutions were less great for them than even for me because I had some deal experience. And so I started Guardian twofold. A, I enjoy helping people. B, I like making complicated financial things simple. And C, I don't like when people get had, particularly when they're putting up personal guarantees. That can really ruin a lot of things. And there's a lot of sharks that smile in these waters.
Yeah. Let's talk about sharks, right? I grew up surfing and, well, that was one of the things that you're nervous about as a surfer. You're worried about sharks that you cannot see. They're underwater and then they bump you and then they could bite you. I also worked in venture capital, right? Venture capitalist, vulture capitalist, and sharks, the world of sharks, the Shark Tank.
Yeah.
Talk to us about it in business. How could a first-time business buyer get had from a shark?
Well, the easiest way to explain it is a lot of folks are coming out of corporate experiences, right? So they're mid-career at Coke or a SaaS company doing marketing or an industrial company. And so they've been used to negotiations that are like plus 10%, minus 10%, HR is the referee, and very little sort of risk for absolute loss or sort of $1 million impact to a single entity. When you get into business acquisitions, you have a lot of parties around the table that are typically, 20 years older than my clients and have been doing deals for 30 years. So you have a broker, you have a seller, you have lawyers, you have CPAs, and these folks come from companies that have great brand names. They smile on their website. They all just talk about integrity and doing the right thing for customers. But if you know business is to maximize value for shareholders. So what ends up happening is people ascribe a certain integrity score to groups that may or may not be aligned interest wise. And when they don't really understand how the lanes and sort of leverage points maneuver, they can get taken advantage of. And in this world, you know, a shark can cost you $1 million, and $1 million can cause you to default on a loan where somebody can, you know, put you in a really bad spot. So for me, protecting folks against sharks is sort of helping people who may not have 30 years, you know, call out participants who are not playing fairly in ways that don't come off as confrontational, right? Because I have some style points, but remind people who they are. So for instance, a lot of times we get on phones with brokers who will try to do endless ad backs on EBITDA, just ad back on ad back. And they'll try to sort of shove it down my client's throat. And I'll say, hey, do you guys get paid a portion of the deal? Yeah, Elliott. Okay, so isn't it in your best interest to push up the ad backs as much as you can to get a higher purchase price because it's a multiple of EBITDA? Yeah. And in that moment, my client understands very clearly who the broker is and can typically more easily combat some of the craziness that's coming from that direction.